Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta at sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa akin.
Tears, secrets, and a gift that stopped Manila. This is the untold story poised to change Philippine tennis forever. Welcome back to Cortiva Tennis, your #1 destination for stories that shake the very foundation of the sport. If you thought you understood what emotion looks like on a tennis court or what sportsmanship means in the modern era, stop scrolling now, because what unfolded in the shadows of the Rizal Memorial Tennis Center just hours before the biggest match of Alex's career was more than breaking news. It was a watershed moment destined to ripple through tennis history for generations. We are live from the heart of Manila, where the tropical heat is rivaled only by the burning anticipation of an entire nation. The crowds are roaring, flashbulbs are bursting, and the Philippine flag waves with pride from Luzon to Mindanao. Yet behind the spectacle, beyond the cameras and social media frenzy, something quiet and devastatingly beautiful occurred inside a locker room. A secret gesture, an unexpected package, and a handwritten note that froze the country's golden girl in her tracks, reducing her to tears just moments before she was set to walk onto the biggest stage of her young life. Today, this is not a story about drop shots or topspin, but about the raw humanity beneath elite sport, about what it means when an opponent becomes an ally. Competition transforms into communion, and a simple act of kindness threatens to overshadow the match itself. This is the story of the gift of life. But hold on, because that is only the beginning. We go deeper than ever before, uncovering an audacious master plan to transform the Philippines into the next global tennis superpower, revealing billion-peso investments pouring into courts, coaching, and championships, and examining how one 20-year-old woman has become the catalyst for an entire sporting revolution. Before we close, we take a somber detour to Melbourne, where the tennis world bade a tearful farewell to one of the greatest warriors the game has ever known. This is the most comprehensive and emotionally charged episode Champions Tennis has ever produced, and you are about to witness history being written in real time. The scene is set in Manila, a city that has waited decades for this moment, where the air is not merely humid but saturated with expectation and heavy with the dreams of millions who have watched their homegrown hero battle alone on foreign soil for years. This is the Philippine Women's Open, the nation's first time hosting a WTA 125 event, and the preparations have been nothing short of spectacular, as the Rizal Memorial Sports Complex undergoes a complete metamorphosis, from gleaming fresh paint and newly installed seating to resurfaced courts brought up to professional standards, every detail scrutinized, polished, and perfected. All converging at the very heart of this historic moment. The center of this whirlwind stands one young woman whose shoulders carry the weight of an entire archipelago, Alexandra Ella Ngo. At just 20 years old, Ella has already lived a lifetime in professional tennis. Her face is plastered across billboards from Makati to Quezon City, her name whispered in hope by every young Filipino girl who has ever picked up a racket. She is the standard-bearer, the trailblazer, the one who broke out of Southeast Asia and into the sport's biggest stages. But with that glory comes crushing, suffocating pressure, the kind that can turn a tennis court into a prison. Ella arrived in Manila carrying heavy baggage from Melbourne, where the Australian Open had been brutal. A first-round singles loss to an opponent she was expected to beat, followed by another opening round exit in doubles. The whispers began immediately. Sports talk shows questioned whether she was ready for the spotlight, online forums dissected her mental toughness, and critics who had never held a racket typed furiously about her perceived flaws. The noise was deafening. And yet, here she was back home, seated second behind the seasoned Tatiana Maria, staring down a minefield of a draw beginning with Alina Kuriva, a dangerous Russian disruptor who already held a recent head-to-head victory over Ella. This was no storybook homecoming. It was a scheduled war of attrition, a merciless examination under the brightest possible lights. But just hours before the first ball was struck, the narrative shifted in a way no one, not coaches, commentators, or even the players themselves, could have predicted. According to multiple sources embedded within the tournament's organizational structure, speaking on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter, Alina Kuriva did something that simply does not happen in the cutthroat world of professional tennis and the ruthless ecosystem of professional tennis, where psychological warfare is routine, locker rooms are ruled by silence, eye contact is avoided, and every interaction is calculated for competitive gain. Kuriva made a choice that defied every unwritten rule of the tour. She did not alert the media, stage a photo opportunity, or post a single word on social media for likes or engagement. Instead, in complete privacy and total silence, she approached a senior tournament official with a carefully wrapped package and a handwritten note, asking that it be delivered personally. Recognizing the gravity of the moment, the official agreed. The message, which we can now exclusively reveal, was written in simple yet profound English. No matter who wins today, please see this as a gift of life. Thank you for giving me the chance to face the Philippines' #1 player on her home soil. It is an honor. I will never forget. When the official entered Alexandra Go's locker room, the air was electric with pre-match tension. Ella was locked in headphones on, eyes closed, visualizing patterns and points, fighting to drown out the thunderous chants of her name rolling in from the stadium. Around her, coaches, physiotherapists, and family members moved with practiced precision, each focused on their role in preparing her for battle. The official quietly placed the package on the bench beside Ella's racket bag. For a moment, no one noticed until Ella opened her eyes, saw the box, and recognized her name written in unfamiliar handwriting. Slowly, she removed her headphones, and the bustle of the locker room began to slow, then fall completely silent as everyone sensed something extraordinary was unfolding. Ella reached for the package and read the note first, and according to eyewitnesses, time seemed to freeze. She stood perfectly still for what felt like an eternity, though it was likely only 10 or 15 seconds before her hand rose to her mouth and her eyes, steely and focused just moments earlier, filled with tears. The emotion did not build gradually. It arrived as a wave, crashing over her all at once. In the high-stakes pressure cooker of a professional locker room, where vulnerability is treated as weakness and tears are reserved for victory or defeat, the raw humanity of the moment shattered every defense the young athlete had constructed. Sources in the room say Ella whispered only a few words, her voice breaking, "This is the most beautiful thing anyone has ever given me before a match. I don't even know what to say." What was inside the package remains a sacred secret between two competitors, and speculation has run wild. Some believe it was a handwritten letter sharing Kariva's own journey and struggles. Others suggest a symbolic token representing the battles women face on tour, while still others think it was something deeply personal, understood only by athletes who have devoted their lives to this brutal sport. But the contents matter less than the meaning. The gift of life was never about the object itself, it was about acknowledgement, about one warrior recognizing another, about Kariva telling Ella, without cameras or applause, that she saw the magnitude of the moment, understood the pressure, and honored the journey, even as they prepared to step onto the court and try to defeat one another. Bound by championship dreams, they are united by something far greater than any single match, and that gesture fundamentally transforms what is about to unfold. When these two women step onto the court under the lights, with thousands of fans screaming and an atmosphere that will reverberate through every corner of Manila, it will not simply be competitor versus competitor. It will be two human beings who share a profound, silent understanding, competing at the highest level while carrying a mutual respect that transcends the scoreboard. Make no mistake, both will fight with everything they have. The intensity will be real, the desire to win overwhelming. But the bitterness, psychological gamesmanship, and cold detachment that so often define modern professional tennis will be replaced by something rarer and more powerful: genuine, deep-rooted respect. This is the kind of moment that, decades from now, long after both players have retired, they will remember as defining not just their careers, but their character. This is why we watch sports. This is why tennis matters. Now, let us pull back and examine why this gesture landed with such devastating emotional force. To understand that, you must first grasp the impossible position Alexandra Go occupies. She is not merely a tennis player in the Philippines, she is a cultural phenomenon, a national treasure, and a living symbol of what becomes possible when talent meets opportunity and an unbreakable refusal to quit. Ella spent most of her formative years thousands of miles from home, training at the legendary Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. While her peers in Manila lived ordinary teenage lives, she endured punishing sessions under the Mediterranean sun. While families gathered for birthdays and holidays, she traveled alone through obscure ITF tournaments across Europe, sleeping in budget hotels, eating whatever she could afford, and fighting relentlessly through the grind that forges champions. She battled through the qualification rounds of Grand Slams, often as the lone Filipino name in the entire draw, carrying her nation's flag into arenas where she was otherwise unknown. Every victory was celebrated alone, every defeat absorbed in isolation. The sacrifices required to reach this level are incomprehensible to anyone who has not lived them. And now, for the first time in her professional career, she is competing in a WTA-sanctioned event on Philippine soil, a reality whose magnitude cannot be overstated. At her pre-tournament press conference, Ella tried to manage expectations with the careful diplomacy of a seasoned politician, seated behind a table crowded with microphones as cameras captured her from every angle. Her words were measured and composed. "I never go into any tournament expecting to win the whole thing. My mindset is no different just because this is at home. I take it match by match. I'll do everything I can to win my first one, but if not, it is what it is. You can't win all the time." They were the words of a well-coached, media-savvy professional who understands the dangers of saying too much. But let us be absolutely clear about the reality beneath that carefully constructed statement. Ella knows exactly what is at stake. She knows tickets sold out in record time because of her name, that television ratings will be the highest for any tennis event in Philippine history, and that somewhere in the crowd will be hundreds of young girls holding handmade signs painted in bright colors, dreaming that one day they might be her. The weight of that knowledge is crushing. The tournament draw has been merciless. Beyond the immediate threat of Alina Kariva in the opening round, danger lurks at every turn. Donna Vekic, a former top 20 player with Grand Slam quarterfinal experience, in one section, Lulu Sun, the rising New Zealand star who shocked Wimbledon last year, in another, and looming above them all as the top seed, Tatiana Maria, a Wimbledon semi-finalist whose tricky left-handed game and biting slice backhand have frustrated players far more experienced than Ella. The road to the championship trophy is not paved, it is mined. Hovering over everything is the ghost of Melbourne. The first-round Australian Open singles loss still stings, the doubles defeat only deepening the disappointment. Ella flew home carrying that failure like a stone in her stomach. Lesser athletes might have crumbled. Lesser competitors might have invented an injury to escape the spotlight. But Alexandra Ella chose to. She showed up. Ella dusted herself off, boarded the plane, and walked straight into the firestorm of expectation. That resilience, her refusal to hide, is precisely why Kariva's gift resonated so deeply. In a moment when Ella could have felt utterly alone under the weight of pressure, Kariva reminded her that she was seen, valued, and respected not in spite of her struggles, but because of them. That is the true power of genuine sportsmanship. It heals wounds that victory alone cannot reach. While the drama of the gift of life unfolded in locker rooms and on courts across Manila, an even larger story was taking shape behind closed doors, in government offices and conference rooms where the future of Philippine tennis is being designed. This tournament, as spectacular as it is, represents only the opening salvo of an ambitious and audacious plan to transform the Philippines into a legitimate tennis powerhouse. Leading that charge is Philippine Sports Commission Chairman Pochoy Gregorio, a visionary administrator focused not on a one-off celebration, but on sustained growth, on infrastructure, on systems, and on building an ecosystem capable of producing not just one Alexandra Ella, but an entire generation. He is willing to invest government resources, political capital, and his own reputation to make it happen. Speaking to the media on the eve of the tournament, Gregorio was blunt and unapologetic in his ambition, looking directly into the cameras and issuing what amounted to a challenge to the Women's Tennis Association. "Give us a WTA 250 event if we pass this test." He added, with absolute conviction, that with Ella still developing on her current trajectory, a top 20 world ranking is not a question of if, but when, and when that happens, the Philippines will be impossible to ignore. Let that statement sink in for a moment. A WTA 250 tournament. That is a significant upgrade from a 125 event, more ranking points, substantially higher prize money, and, crucially, the ability to attract top 20 players who would otherwise skip lower-tier events. It is the difference between being a regional attraction and a legitimate stop on the global professional tour. Gregorio is not asking for this as a favor. He is demanding it as a right, one that will be earned through successful execution and proven market demand. But his vision extends far beyond Manila. He dropped a genuine bombshell when discussing expansion. Together, the Philippines could host a WTA 125 event in another city, perhaps Cebu. Imagine it, world-class players competing in paradise, fans across the Visayas and Mindanao able to witness top-tier tennis without traveling to the capital, with massive economic and cultural impact. Meanwhile, the beautiful and brutal cycle of professional sports continues. Alexandra Ella in Manila is receiving a gift of life, beginning her journey as a home hero with the hopes of millions riding on her shoulders. In Melbourne, Stan Wawrinka is closing the book on his Australian Open story, waving goodbye to fans who watched him emerge from Roger Federer's shadow into his own blinding light. One story begins, another ends. The torch is not passed directly, but the flame continues to burn. For fans, this means we are living through a golden moment, a convergence of endings and beginnings that will define tennis for the next decade. Philippine tennis enthusiasts are witnessing greatness being seeded in real time. Infrastructure is being built, investments are being made, and visionary leaders are articulating a plan for sustainable success that relies on more than a single transcendent talent. And the drama on the court between Kariva and Ella proves this is not just sport, it is a theater of human emotion, connection, and shared struggle. That gift exchanged in private, that moment of tears and recognition, lays bare the soul of tennis. Fans of the global game are witnessing the geographic landscape of professional tennis shift before their eyes.